even by the already impossibly degraded standards. The last 48 hours of Donald Trump's pronouncements have been disturbing and dangerous. It started yesterday during a bizarre address about autism, Tylenol, and vaccines.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. We want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. Don't let them pump your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen in your life going into the delicate little body of a baby.
This was all nonsense, and that's the most charitable word I could use. I mean, vaccines do not cause autism. This has been established at peer review after peer review after peer review over decades. It's been studied. There is no established link between Tylenol and autism either, certainly not the very elevated risk he talked about. But Trump didn't stop there. He absolutely flew off the rails during his speech at the UN today. Admittedly, the day got off to a bad start.
The President and the First Lady, Dana, have just walked in right on time, I would say. Right on cue.
Yeah, they're a couple of minutes ahead of schedule, and, you know, we love that punctuality.
Yes.
And the First Lady also going to address the UN as well as she arrives with her husband, and they go up the escalator this time.
So I heard a few questions being shouted there, but no responses. Stand by. I don't know if there's audio on that or not.
Chuck Schumer.
Okay, I heard the end. That was Chuck Schumer, and there's a reason for that.
Slight escalator mishap. For what it's worth, a UN official told the AP that Trump's own party was responsible for escalator gate. That did not stop the president from grousing about it and many other topics in front of the whole world.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
That was just a sample of the hour of ramblings by our 79-year-old president today. Coming up next, Senator Mark Kelly joins me live on set. Don't go away. Today, Donald Trump addressed the UN General Assembly. His speech went on for almost an hour, nearly 4 times what he was allotted. And it was very familiar in many ways, just sort of like his free association riff stuff. It included a very shrewd audition for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I ended 7 wars, and in all cases they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war.
For Republicans, the current trajectory raises concern.
Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives.
Senator Mark Kelly is a Democrat of Arizona. He serves on the Armed Services Committee. He's here in New York during this UN General Assembly week. He joins me on set. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
I mean, at a certain point, you'll run out of adjectives to describe the rhetoric of the President of the United States, but your response to the speech today?
Well, he's adding more countries every day. Yes. Yeah, I think it's because, he said before the election that he was going to end the war in Ukraine and Gaza on day one. Unrealistic. And it seems like he's insecure about this, not being able to accomplish what he promised. I think folks have to just stop listening to him. I think that I feel really bad about having to say that. Or maybe we just give him a medal. Remember at the end of The Wizard of Oz?
He really wants one.
The end of The Wizard of Oz, the wizard gave the lion a medal. I think that's the point.
I think if you could do a Truman Show Nobel Peace Prize sort of thing for him, you would be extremely excited about it. But that point you made, I want to ask you about these two conflicts. One is today he came out seeming to sort of oscillate back towards Ukraine, and maybe they can get all their territory back and now open again to sanctions. Now, again, people talk this 180, but part of the thing with him is this inconstancy means you never know if that, whether that's going to last. Where do you see our role in that conflict right now?
Well, I think we still need to support our ally, Ukraine, help them. We used to give them. Now it's done through European nations, selling them the equipment they need to defend themselves. The war has changed dramatically. I sit on the Armed Services and the Intelligence Committee. In the beginning of that war was a lot of artillery, exchange of artillery fire. That's where some ground would be made or lost. That is now FPV, first-person drone warfare, which has really changed what ground.
President Donald Trump's recent public statements have plunged in new depths of misinformation and volatility, alarming public health experts, allies, and international observers. On September 22nd, during a White House address alongside Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump promoted debunked claims linking Tylenol, acetaminophen, used during pregnancy to a very increased risk of autism in children, directing the FDA to issue warnings to physicians and pursue label changes. He also revived discredited theories tying vaccines to autism, urging separate administration of the MMR vaccine, removal of mercury and aluminum, and criticizing the childhood immunization schedule as pumping your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen. Trump advised pregnant women, don't take Tylenol. Fight like hell not to take it, while suggesting limited use for infants if unavoidable. Scientific consensus, backed by decades of peer-reviewed studies, refutes these assertions. A 2024 Swedish analysis of 2.5 million children found no causal link between prenatal acetaminophen exposure and autism or ADHD. A 2025 review of 46 studies suggested possible associations but emphasized no proven causation. Vaccine safety is affirmed by extensive research. No evidence connects them to autism, as confirmed by the American Academy of Pediatrics and others. Advocacy groups, including the Coalition of Autism Scientists, condemned the remarks for stoking fear without evidence, while Merck affirmed vaccines' rigorous testing. The administration also touted leucovorin, a cancer drug, as a potential autism treatment, prompting the American Psychiatric Association to note it requires years more research and is not recommended. Trump's rhetoric escalated at the UN General Assembly on September 23rd, where he delivered a nearly hour-long address, nearly 4 times his allotted time, marked by free association rants. He blamed a mid-escalator stop and malfunctioning teleprompter on the UN, joking about his past bid to renovate the complex for $500 million with marble floors and mahogany walls instead of terrazzo and plastic. A UN official attributed the issues to Trump's team. The speech veered into self-aggrandizement, claiming he ended 7 wars in Cambodia-Thailand, Kosovo-Serbia, Congo-Rwanda, Pakistan-India, Israel-Iran, Egypt-Ethiopia, and Armenia-Azerbaijan, achievements he said warranted multiple Nobel Peace Prizes, though saving lives mattered more. Fact-checkers noted no such resolutions occurred under his watch. Trump warned of global peril from green energy scam and open borders, predicting nations collapse without reversal. On Ukraine, he oscillated, suggesting he could reclaim all territory and even gain Russian land, reopening sanctions, a stark reversal from prior isolationism. He reiterated unfulfilled promises to end the Russia-Ukraine and Israel-Hamas wars on day one. Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat Arizona, on the Armed Services Committee called the speech unrealistic, attributing Trump's escalating claims to insecurity over unmet pledges. Kelly advocated sustained U.S. support for Ukraine via European equipment sales, emphasizing drone warfare's shift from artillery. To pressure Russia, he proposed curbing oil sales to China, India, and Brazil, raising tariffs, currently 10%, symbolically, and imposing financial strain on Putin, whom he labeled a war criminal. Kelly meets Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on September 24th, hoping for progress post-Zelensky's Trump talks. On Gaza, Kelly endorsed a two-state solution, but criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for inconsistent private assurances versus public actions, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. He highlighted World Food Program head Cindy McCain's struggles. Only 2 of 200 needed feeding stations operational, with a 40% budget cut from USAID reductions prompting donor pullbacks. Ex-hostages in New York push for diplomacy, but Netanyahu resists amid calls for Palestinian state recognition by European allies. Amid shutdown threats, Trump canceled a meeting with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on funding, posting a screed against negotiations. Kelly decried it as sabotaging healthcare affordability. Affordable Care Act premiums could skyrocket, millions risk Medicaid loss, and rural hospitals face closure. The guy who claims he wrote the art of the deal doesn't even want to discuss it, Kelly said, underscoring the fight stakes for American families. As Trump's inconsistencies mount, from health pseudoscience to foreign policy flip-flops, Kelly urged tuning out the noise, warning of eroded global credibility.